أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. والصلاة والسلام على خير خلق والنور عرش أفضل الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيبنا وسيدنا وسندنا وشفيعنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المذمومين. أما بعد، قال الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أولم يتفكروا ما بصاحبهم من جنة هو إلا نذير مبين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Respected elders, respected scholars, brothers and sisters in Islam, I would like to greet you all with the warmest of Islamic greetings, and that is none other than Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, which translated into the Arabic language means none other than may God's peace and blessings be upon you all. Before I begin tonight's lecture, I just wanted to have a very humble request. If everyone can come forward and fill in the seats in the front. The closer we are together, the more the energy, the more we feel united as the Ansar of Imam al-Hussein. For this building, brothers and sisters, is not only a Husayniyah, it's a tent, it's a khayma of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. I always say that in these few nights, you notice the numbers keep getting larger and larger as we get to the 10th of Muharam. The people that show up on the first few days have a speciality in the eyes of Imam Hussein. Brothers and sisters, those people that come here and pour the cup of tea for each and every one of you, the people that come here and set up the sound system, the people that come here and set up each and every one of these chairs, you guys have a supremacy in the eyes of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam. So when you come to this mosque, look at all the opportunities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted you to be a khadim of Imam al-Hussein. With that being said, let's recite one more salawat. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
As we talked about last night, the goal of these 10 nights is to increase our recognition of Imam Hussein. Inshallah, every night I want to gift you guys with one of the secrets that are behind the severed head of Imam al-Hussein, that are behind the 10 nights of Muharram. Why is it that this man's name becomes larger and larger? The populations, the Zawar, become more and more people are turning towards Imam al-Hussein. What is it behind this man that gave his life in a desert by the name of Karbala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has found our salvation and has gifted us with it? In order to understand this, we have to go through a number of stages. Last night we discussed the kindness of our Creator. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of feedback on the mic. Is it okay if we can adjust this? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Last night we discussed the kindness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala towards creation. What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have to slaughter in front of us to get us to come back into the Husayniyah? Yes. Now we have to go towards Imam Hussein. Who was this man? Well, firstly, he was the third Imam in the Ithna Ashari Shia school of thought. He was the grandson of the Holy Prophet. As you know, the Holy Prophet never had any sons. His daughter Fatima married his cousin Ali, his successor. From Fatima and Ali comes what? Imam al-Hasan and Imam al-Hussein. When it came to the time of Imam Hussein, there was a ruler by the name of Yazid ibn Muhammad. The series of events that took place, which put a man like Yazid in power, is the real tragedy. That the Ummah was tested with one task. As you know, every prophet of God leaves his people with a task. They have to be tested, as we say in Surah Al-Ankabut. There's a verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts it beautifully. It says, do those who say they believe not think they're going to be tested? It suffices enough to say that we believe? No. I will test you. What was the test of the ummah of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? If it was the Quran, to accept the Quran, Rasulullah had no problem. The people have no problem. For 1400 years have passed, and this book, the Holy Quran, is in every single one of our centers, correct or not? We passed that task. However, there's a second part to it. When Rasulullah says, إِنِّي تَارِكُمْ فِيكُمْ التَّقَلِينَ كِتَابُ اللَّهِ وَإِتْرَةِ Ahlul-Bayt. This was the second part of the task which the ummah was tested with. How do we know the ummah passed? Did they pass? Inshallah, tonight we're going to be talking about one line that Imam Hussein tells each and every one of us. He says, do not think that me denying my allegiance to Yazid, because Yazid asked Imam Hussein to bid allegiance, say I am the Khalifa of the Muslims. Do not think that I am denying this to Yazid because I want political power. Do not think that I'm in search of any power. I'm doing this for one goal only. Islah din Jaddi Rasulullah. I'm doing this to clean up, wipe the slate clean of the religion of my grandfather. So many secrets within this line. Tonight will be more of a history lesson and a historical analysis as to who was the Holy Prophet of Islam and why the severed head of Imam Hussein has kept the reputation of Islam and the ideal image of Rasulullah alive today. Inshallah, let's recite one more salawat before we get into this topic. When it comes to the Holy Prophet of Islam, don't look at the fan, I'm right here. When it comes to the Holy Prophet of Islam, what do we know about him? A man came out of Hijaz, proclaimed his prophethood at what age? 40. Yes? Many people say that he became a prophet at the age of 40. What did he do? He taught people to stop worshipping idols and to turn to the one creator, the one God. La ilaha illallah. There is no God but Allah. He was also a very nice man. I'm saying this in very objective terms because every single Muslim will be nodding, doesn't matter which sect you follow, will be nodding, yes, Brother Hadi, what you're saying is right. He was a very, very nice man. In fact, one time he was helping an elderly lady with her luggage, and the elderly lady said, young man, you seem like a very nice person. Let me give you some advice. There's a crazy man, astaghfirullah, by the name of Muhammad in these lands. He's a magician, he's a wizard, he's insane, don't follow him. The Prophet ﷺ helps her with her luggage. At the end, when they get to her destination, said, I didn't catch your name. What was it? Said, my name was Muhammad. She converts to the religion. These traditions are known within every single school of thought, that he was a very nice man. What else were the accomplishments of this man? See, during the Arabian Peninsula, during that time, pre-Islamic history, Arabs were always at war. Always at war. So if I killed one tribe, someone from one tribe, that tribe would come kill someone from my tribe, and the wars would go on. They would bury their female children, women didn't have rights, the laws of marriage were pitiful. The Prophet of Islam, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, came about. He came with the Quran, revealed to him by Jibreel in that cave that he's Cave Hira. And by the way, this Prophet of Islam can't read or write. Now many people are looking at me right now, where is he going with this? I'm trying to tell you that this image of Rasulullah that you have, the majority of it is false. For the very message of Rasulullah was lost the minute he left. It was lost. And you know, the people that wrote the history of Islam were the enemies of the Ahlul-Bayt. How many people have heard that the Prophet can't read or write? You heard that? Do you know how many Muslims run around today and say, hey, by the way, my Prophet's illiterate? Ask a 5-year-old child, can you read and write? Oh no, Brother Hadi, there's a verse in the Quran. And from the illiterate we brought you a prophet. Does that mean the Prophet was illiterate? The people were illiterate. From the illiterate people there came a prophet. The Prophet became a prophet at the age of 40. What was he before? A nice man. He was truthful, trustworthy. He was as-sadiq. Very nice for no reason. That when the earliest sign of the Prophet at a young age we have is when he was a child, he was running, his arm brushed against a tree. A dead tree turned back to life. This child didn't notice the tree come back to life. That when he would go with caravans with Abu Talib, the monks would say, I see cloud following him. There's something with this child. Some Muslims, brothers and sisters, go on saying that before he was a prophet, he had many sins. Then out of nowhere, Allah elected him a prophet. It could have been someone else. Then they start bringing the companions, the righteous companions. It could have been this companion or Muhammad. It could have gone either way, but Allah chose Muhammad, so we respect what Allah chose. Brothers and sisters, if you understand where I'm going with this, you'll understand why Imam Hussein was killed in the battlefield. How have we envisioned Rasulullah? For how long are we going to run around letting people tell us that he married a 9-year-old girl? According to what texts? And people are starting to tell me that, oh no, girls hit you, girls are, baligha. She could have done that. They're just going to sit there and let the enemies narrate the story of Rasulullah. Rasulullah entrusted his ummah with one task. I leave with you two weighty things, the Holy Quran and my Ahlul-Bayt. There is no dispute on who the Ahlul-Bayt are. Then he says, on Eid al-Ghadir, which was not too long ago, what does he say? Man kuntum mawla, fahada aliyyun mawla. For whoever's master I am, Ali is his master. Notice what he says. For whoever's master, mawla I am, Ali is his master. That means if you don't have Ali, I'm not your master either. In order to accept me as your master, here is my successor. Brothers and sisters, it wasn't even a day that the Prophet had passed away. They had run an election. Ali is too young. We can't have Ali as the successor of the Prophet. Yes? Let's have an election. Let's elect someone who's older than Ali. Since when has the leadership of God had anything to do with age? The Holy Quran talks about a child in a cradle, where Bibi Maryam gives birth to Prophet Isa alayhi salam. What happens? Allah says, Qala inni Abdullah. Say, Isa, that you are my servant. Now I said every night we're going to reveal a little secret about Every night we're going to reveal a little secret about Imam al-Hussein. Yes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran tells Prophet Isa, he says, Qala, say, Prophet Isa, Inni Abdullah, I am a servant of God. Prophet Isa was born in a tree. What did Bibi Maryam alayha eat while she was in the tree? What did Allah instruct her to eat? Figs. Yeah? Where was Prophet Isa born? Jerusalem? Iraq. Who said Iraq? Yes, I got some Iraqis in the back. Iraq! Where are the date trees at? You guys ever been to Iraq? Which land in Iraq? What's Imam Hussein's kunya? Aba Abdullah. The man is born in Karbala. He tells people, Qala, Inni Abdullahi, I am Abdullah. So who is my father? Someone says Imam Hussein was born way after Prophet Musa. Every single prophet of Allah visited the land of Karbala. Imam Hussein alayhi salam is Aba Abdullah, the father of all servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was a maqam to say that I was born in this land of Karbala and I acknowledge who my father is. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
A child in a cradle can be Abdullah, can have that maqam, can be a prophet. Yet when it came to the successor of Rasulullah, they said you're in your 30s, you're too young. The first Khalifa comes and sits on the member of the Holy Prophet. His father writes him a letter. He said, my son, I heard that you became the Khalifa. How did that happen? They said I was older. But he said, my son, I'm older than you. If it's by age, I should be the Khalifa then. Like his own father is telling him, what are you doing? They say that his father of the first Khalifa never gave allegiance to his own son. His father never gave his own son allegiance. What's the next thing that happened? Narrated by Aisha bint Abu Bakr. My father instructed me to collect all the sayings of the Holy Prophet. All the sayings of the Holy Prophet. So I ran around and I collected 500. He asked me to bring it to me. The next day, I saw him pacing back and forth, undecided on what to do with them. He then took the sayings, as he had written it on animal skin, any form of writing that the Holy Prophet had said, give it to me. The next day, he set a flame and he burned them. What was the reason of the first Khalifa burning the sayings of the Holy Prophet? You know, the sayings of the Holy Prophet can help us, yes? He can tell you how to pray, should your arms be folded or by your side. Should you wash your foot? Should you wipe it? Although that's still in the Quran, we still have dispute for some reason. But he would have clarified it for sure. He burned them. Why, first Khalifa? Why did you burn the hadith of the Holy Prophet? Why did you burn the sayings? You know, those are valuable things. The Prophet of God is teaching you lessons, you burn them. Because I was afraid that people might go to the sayings instead of the Quran. So I burned all the sayings. Question, could there have been something important in those sayings that you burned? Maybe. Could he have, by any chance, mentioned who his successor would be? Would that put you out of business? Brothers and sisters, for the next 120 years, no one was allowed to write a saying. And then you wonder why Yazid ibn Muawiyah becomes Khalifa. It was not until the 5th Imam's time, go look at the historical analysis, that someone came out with a book, Malik's Mawatta. No book was written for the first 120 years after the Prophet died. What were the Muslims doing? This perfect ummah of Rasulullah, who said, we believe. They were tested. Did they pass the test? Imam Hussein says, my goal is not political power. It is to wipe clean the ummah of my grandfather. We mentioned today what? That Imam Hussein was the only person named Hussein during his time. No other Imam was named Hussein. No man at his time was named Hussein because Allah wanted to close all doors on that day of Ashura. Who is it on the battlefield that you guys are killing in the name of Allah? Who? That tomorrow they don't look back and say it was a different Hussein. You know they have a habit of doing that, yes. Fickle historians. It was a different Hussein. We made a mistake. We didn't know it was the grandson of the Holy Prophet. We thought it was another Hussein. He was writing letters to Yazid. We killed him. We thought we were killing him. We had no, it was a confusion. Allah closed all doors. Then when Imam Hussein alayhi salam goes up to them, he said, whose right have I made haram that was supposed to be halal? And whose right have I made halal that was supposed to be haram? The response sends chills up and down my spine every time I say it. What was it? What was Imam Hussein's crime? You know what they say? Bughzan la abik. We hate your father. Who's this father? Who's Imam Hussein's father? Wasiya Muhammad Rasulullah Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Interestingly, when people run around telling you the Prophet became prophet at the age of 40, they haven't even looked at what the Prophet says about himself in every single book of Hadith you found. Many of the books of Hadith. He says, I was a prophet when Prophet Adam was between water and clay. Before his creation, I was a prophet. This prophet says, I leave behind myself the final prophet of God, a successor. People say no. Someone says, why was it so hard for it to be Imam Ali alayhi salam? Now those who were in the camp, the Kashf the Sayyidah Fatima Zahra camp, just a couple of months ago I believe, I gave you the answer. When the Holy Prophet came to announce his prophethood, Imam Ali alayhi salam said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm going to be your successor. But I ask you one thing. Allow me to be the one in the battlefield who raises the sword. Allow me. For Rasulullah, if you touch a tribe's, one person from one tribe, tomorrow they'll come to your grave, they'll desecrate it. For these Arabs are such nationalists, they're such tribe worshippers, that in any battle, if you take one of their lives, you guys know what tribalism is, huh? Arabs, I'm from this family, I'm from Bani Falan, I'm from Bani Falan. You kill one person from this tribe, that's it, game over. Mafia comes by your house. O Rasulullah, allow me to be the one that raises the sword in every battle. So tomorrow, when you're buried in Medina, 73 sects of Islam will come to your shrine, come see you. And only one or two, maybe 3 sects of Islam will go to Najaf al-Ashraf and visit the successor of Rasulullah. They say by the end of Rasulullah's death, there was not one household that hadn't waged war against the Holy Prophet. There was not one household that didn't have someone wounded or killed by Ali ibn Abi Talib, whether it was a brother or a cousin or a father. That's why on the battlefield of Karbala, when Imam Hussein alayhi salam says, what have I done to you? He said, we hate your father. The Ummah was tested with one task, Wilayat Ali ibn Abi Talib. But we hate him. We went astray. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Ali became Gharib, so Rasulullah becomes Aziz. Yes? Ali became Gharib, so Rasulullah becomes Aziz. How many necks have been split open? How many jugulars have been slit for us to sit here tonight? Reflect on this topic tonight. Talk about the Holy Prophet the way he told us to envision him. The first book of Islam that had a compilation came 120 years after. Until then, how were the traditions being transferred from one another? How are we told what the Prophet said for 120 years? That's not a short amount of time. 120 years, no one was around to write things down? Why not? Because they're afraid if you start writing things down, you're bound to write down a merit of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ahmad ibn Hanbal, a non-Shia scholar, a classical Sunni scholar, says, Ali is the only companion of the Holy Prophet that has the most virtues and goodness written about him that are sahih. In a time where you weren't able to write things down, that's how many statuses of Ali ibn Abi Talib you can come up with, Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Imagine if we were able to write them down. That's why the Prophet looks at Imam Ali, he says, "Oh Ali, none have understood you except I and Allah. Oh Ali, none have understood me except you and Allah. Oh Ali, none have understood Allah except you and I." Focus on this triangle for the next 9 minutes, you'll understand Imam Hussein. Where Imam Hussein alayhi salam, when he had sons, what would he name them? Ali. Ali al-Akbar, Ali al-Asghar, Ali al-Zayn al-Abidin. They said, why do you name them Ali? He said, if I had 1,000 sons, I would name them Ali. I would name them Ali. Who is Ali? That the poet writes, he wants to write a poem about Imam Ali. He says, Han, Aliyun basharun kayfa bashar. Who is Ali? But what kind of human is he? Later he has a dream that the Holy Prophet ﷺ comes in. He says, I liked your line. Aliyun basharun kayfa bashar. Is Ali a human? But what kind of human is he? He said, but next time when you write it, I want you to write 2 more lines. Ha. Aliyun basharun kayfa bashar, kayfa bashar, kayfa bashar. Who was my cousin Ali? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Brothers and sisters, we lost the Holy Prophet the minute he died. All of his sayings were torched. The caliphate system, we'll get into the later nights, didn't work out. In fact, it hasn't worked out. See, if you look at our system, we believe in a prophet appointed by Allah. The successors are appointed through the prophet, which means they are appointed through Allah, from Allah. And for Imam Mahdi, for the pastors, how much time do we have? We're done? Done? Running out of time? Okay, I won't take up any more. Appointed by God. A couple of years ago, you saw a man by the name of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Yes? Leader of ISIS. What did he say he was? The Khalifa of the Ummah. Yes? How did he get to the Khalifa? How did he get to that position? Caliphate. Was he appointed? Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi was appointed, or did he appoint himself? When you appoint yourself, what do you get? Destruction. Destruction. The caliphate system fell apart. We lost the Prophet. And until the death of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, people weren't realizing what was going on. After they killed the Holy Prophet's grandson, you know what happened? People realized that we can't go to the Khalifa for Islam. So scholars started coming out. Before then, everyone thought the Khalifa of the Ummah was the next best thing compared to the Prophet. Yazid comes, beheads the grandson of the Holy Prophet. People say, I'm starting to think that this Khalifa is not a good person. Imagine. I'm starting to think. So after the death of Imam Hussein, that's when Islamic scholarship started to rise. Why? Because for the first time people said, we need help. We don't know what this religion is anymore. That's whenever scholars such as Abu Hanifa came. Malik ibn Anas came. Ahmad ibn Hanbal came. Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i came. Why? Because we need to start writing things down. Brothers and sisters, if you hadn't gotten the point this entire lecture, if you don't have Ahlul-Bayt, you don't have the Prophet. You've missed it. You lost him. You can pray 100 rakats without Ahlul-Bayt, but you didn't pray right. You can fast 1,000 months, but without going back to the bab of Rasulullah. What was the bab? What was the door of Rasulullah? When he says, Ana madinatul ilm wa aliyun babaha. Ali are the gates to the city of knowledge. If you don't go through the gates, how are you getting to the city? Imam Hussein's sacrifice caused an uproar in the Ummah. Every time something would happen, you know what this young girl, this 3-year-old would say? Successors. Wait until my Baba comes back. What he'll do to you. The tragedy of Bibi Ruqayyah is one that even the fourth Imam, Imam Zayn al-Abidin, when he thinks about it, he had trouble standing up. He was in the prison of Sham. Sayyidina Zainab looks at him. He says, "Oh Imam, I haven't seen you pray sitting down once. What has gotten to you today?" He says, "I think of the death of that 3-year-old child, my sister. Oh Zainab, you should have seen before she died. She used to come to me and say, Brother, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty." I said, "Ruqayyah, go sleep. When you sleep, you forget about your..." He said, "I saw this 3-year-old girl in the jail cell of Yazid. She went to one corner and then she went to another. I thought to myself, what is this young girl doing in the jail cell?" Then I saw her bend over. She took a pile of dirt and then she put her head on the pile of dirt. The young girl was looking for a pillow to put her head on. I saw her dreaming, Zainab. When she was dreaming, I saw her smile. It was as if she was seeing her father in her dream. A few minutes passed, I saw this girl wake up. She began to cry. She said, "Brother, where is my father? For how long is he going to be on this journey? Brother, when will I see my father? I had a dream about him. He was hugging me." The cry of this girl was so loud that it awoke Yazid in his palace. He says, "What is that sound?" He said, "It's the daughter of Hussein. She's looking for her father." He said, "Then give her her father." The guards come with a chest to the jail cell of Bibi Ruqayyah. Sayyida Zainab saying, "I beg of you, there's nothing left of this girl. Don't do this to her." They come, they open the chest, and out rolls the head of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. Brothers and sisters, may Allah give you patience for what I'm going to tell you next. They say when the head came, Bibi Ruqayyah didn't recognize her own father. What did they do to the head of Aba Abdullah? How many times did they beat the beautiful face that the Holy Prophet used to kiss and say, "This is Hussein, recognize him"? The girl goes to the head of her father and says, "Father, I've been waiting for you. Father, I was hoping the next time I see you, you'd have your arms around me. Father, where is the rest of you?" They say the girl held onto the head, and then finally she went to her side. She liked it. Whenever Imam Zayn al-Abidin went over this girl's body, he said, "Ruqayyah." Ruqayyah saw that there was no more life in the body of the daughter of Imam al-Hussein. Brothers and sisters, may Allah bless you for your tears. May Allah bless you for attending the majalis of Imam al-Hussein. Within each of these nights, we'll revisit one of these tragic moments of the past. For in order to understand our present and the future, we should always look back into the past and try and understand try and understand why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls him out saying, for verily within these stories is our salvation. With that being said, I won't take up any more of the present precious time. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين والحمد لله رب العالمين.